And well, if you are in work, how much would you say you need to get by? A campaign across the East Midlands is trying to persuade councils and businesses to pay a living wage. That's a wage linked to the basic cost of living. It's reckoned almost 400,000 people in the region are paid below it. Here's our political editor, John Hess.
Just smell the coffee. The strategy of one Tory pollster on testing the political mood. Jim Lee doesn't just smell it, he roasts it too. His business in Nottingham supplies coffee to restaurants, cafes and hotels. He's also brewing up a political debate over low pay.
Our friends down in West Bridgeford have forgotten to order again.
His latest recruit, 19-year-old Josh, helps out. He's paid more than the national minimum wage. He gets the hourly rate of what's called a living wage.
The living wage is calculated by independent people who've worked out just how much things cost and how much you need. So it's a realistic figure.
At the moment, the national minimum wage is £6.19. The living wage would add an extra £1.26, bringing it up to £7.45. The question now is whether the living wage should replace the national minimum wage by law.
As a taxpayer, I don't like the idea of not paying people enough money because they go on benefits. We know a lot about the benefit culture recently.
That extra in the hourly wage rate would make such a difference for these two canteen workers. Tracy and Rose work for Nottinghamshire County Council. They're paid above the legally enforced national minimum, but only just.
I'm a single mother with 2 children. At the end of every month, my money runs out. I look to borrow money to my mother, who I actually borrow from her funeral fund. She's a pensioner. And at the end of the month, I shouldn't have to go to work 30 hours a week, come home, do all the things I've got to do, and then not be able to feed my children.
I've got bills to pay. Now, they've gone up, so the way I live now is I'm putting more in my bills than even in my food, really. So, I mean, it would make me a lot more comfortable and it would help a lot to bring up my children.
An estimated 4.8 million workers get less than the so-called living wage. That's 20% of the working population. Here in the East Midlands, it's at 22%, which is why campaigners are targeting local government.
For those on the minimum wage would be an increase of £1.26. But what about those people currently earning £7.45 who would therefore expect their own salary to incrementally rise in order to take account of the fact that other people are getting a higher salary too? It would add a huge amount to council wage bills across the East Midlands, and that's something that council taxpayers can ill afford at the moment.
Try telling that to Nottingham school kid Judari Scholar. He's one of 7 children in his family and he's campaigning for the living wage because of the hours his mum, a cleaner, has to put in.
If it's happening to me, it's happening to my little sister, and it's also happening to a lot of other young people around Nottingham as well, not to mention the parents that sometimes feel ashamed of how much they're working and want to earn a lot more in order to provide for their children.
A living wage to more accurately reflect rising living costs. It's winning some political support, but like strong coffee, it may need sweetening to suit everyone's taste.
Why shouldn't everyone expect a living wage, Heather Wheeler? I mean, you can't live without one.
The difficulty is you have to have productivity to pay for it, and particularly when the unions are trying to highlight that this is an issue for local council. Well, you know, we're very proud that we haven't put up our local council tax for 3 years, and it'll be a 4th year this year coming that we haven't put up our local council tax. People who are on fixed incomes, pensioners or whatever, they can't afford for these things to be going up. So where's the money going to come from?
Where is the money going to come for these things? Bassett Law District Council, I believe, is signed up to this, hasn't it, a living wage?
This week, and well done to them. And here we have another well-paid MP telling cleaners and caretakers you shouldn't be getting £7, £8 an hour. You know, this is what people need to live on, and we need to be encouraging work. Every council, indeed every employer, should be bringing in the living wage. Motivates people, and of course these people spend their money in the economy, and that creates jobs.
But isn't there a danger though if you start paying people the living wage at that scale, the people further up the line will want it too? And how can we afford that?
That's absolutely the problem. When you squeeze the differentials, that's where you really start getting into problems about how much it's going to cost to run a council for no extra productivity.
I'd squeeze people at the top. Instead of giving millionaires huge tax cuts, squash the people a little bit at the top. They won't notice it. At the bottom, cleaners, caretakers, people like that. Huge difference this makes.
Yeah.
But actually, you know, what my friend completely forgets is because we've taken the tax threshold up to 9,440 and next year 10,000, these people won't be paying tax at all. So we're looking after 24 million people have had a tax cut this April.
And VAT goes up. You see, you lot take it with one hand, give it away with the other. But here is the opportunity for employers, including local authorities and the public sector, to pay a decent wage to all their employers. The lowest paid deserve an increase.
And the businessman that we saw in our film there says it's good, it's cost effective, it's good for morale.
Absolutely. Every employer understands the value and the worth of their employees. If they can afford it, fantastic. But you've got to have greater productivity for it.
Well, Newark and Sherwood District Council seem to think that it's been worth finding the money because they've signed up to this. So are you saying that that Tory council did the wrong thing?
What I'm saying is every council needs to understand where the money's going to come from. If you're talking 13 people, then you can maybe find it. If you're talking 3,000 people, maybe you can't find it.
And councils do have to prioritise at the moment, don't they, John? I mean, times are tough.
I don't know what Heather's talking about. Productivity. Cleaners who are cleaning toilets. There aren't more toilets to clean. They clean them well. They should be paid a living wage. That's what this is about. Local authorities should take the lead. Well done, Bassett Law Council, for doing it now. Let's see other councils and other employers doing the same thing.
I mean, we're talking about £1.26 here, aren't we? And that doesn't sound an awful lot to some people, but that would make a big difference to low-paid people and people who work part-time as well, which a lot of these people are.
And I stress again, the tax levels have been raised enormously. So you have to earn a lot of money before you start paying any tax at all. So I think these people will find that they are at the level where they will not be paying any tax, and that's the difference.
OK, well, we'll leave that there.